Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Paddle Pod, your weekly podcast covering professional paddle presented by Hugo and Gons. We're on to episode 95. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host Hugo here today. Hugo, it's great to have you on. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Gons. I've been, kind of ill since last weekend. There's a bit of a cough, a bit of a fever at the start of it. And actually, it coincided with the end of my birthday day, which was a bit of a nightmare, as you know. Probably partied too hard the night before. But yeah, all good. And for our viewers who follow our endeavors on the paddle court, we're currently playing another federated tournament. And we're into the quarterfinals of the kind of consolation tournament, which is if you lose in the first round of the main draw, you get put into the next draw. So yeah, onwards and upwards. A good game yesterday against two very good 17-year-olds. I mean, it's amazing how good youngsters are nowadays. It just shows what the whole meaning about having specialized paddle coaches nowadays, whereas 10 years ago, that wasn't a thing. And I just find it baffling. How can you be so good at paddle age 17?
That's probably because you started very early, but let's not forget as well that the players that knocked us out in the first round were also 17-year-olds. They were
I
just
want to
even
mention that,
better.
Gons. Why did you share that information?
I mean, they were great, and it was actually quite fun yesterday because the tournament is being held at the M3 Center in Leganés. M3, of course, is one of the biggest academies in paddle, and we actually had Jorge Martinez watch our match for a few minutes as kind of our stretching and stuff. And it seemed like the players we were playing against were from the academy because they had kind of coached.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were discussing this yesterday, right? I feel like he started watching the match when we were kind of quite well ahead, and then suddenly things turned around. The youngsters started playing much better, and yeah, I have to say, I feel like our level kind of dropped a bit, and that's when he started watching us. So, to be honest, I think if he was
The
actually
pressure of him watching got to us.
maybe it was that. Maybe it was just the tournament, the kind of pressure of the tournament. But yeah, I feel like he would have probably said, "Guys, just walk off the court because you're not good enough for this."
Yeah, exactly. Go spend your time doing something else. But anyway, we wanted to connect today just to briefly chat about a couple of things. Of course, we're still a few days before the next tournament starts. If I'm not mistaken, National Theon P2, and we have a bit of a South American tour coming up as well with P1 in Argentina, which I think is going to be a great tournament. Always love watching those Argentina tournaments. But we wanted to connect today just to briefly chat about a couple of things. Of course, I think the main thing that we wanted to discuss was, well, following up our video of kind of discussing potential options about Galan and his partnership and his future. It seems like it's quite a hot topic right now. I mean, we had after that video, I think, released, we've had Jorge Martinez, an interview with VeinteDiez, and even Galan himself had quite a bit of an interview with VeinteDiez as well, and was asked about his future. And we just wanted to discuss a bit because we thought the interview was really good. But there was a couple of things in there that if you listen closely and deeply, it was quite interesting, to put it that way. And I think the first one that kind of struck me as a bit odd was when he was asked about kind of just Chingotto, how do you feel? Do you think he's the best partner for you? And it was quite funny because he used this term, Chingotto es el mejor derecha clásico, which essentially translates to he's the current best classic forehand player, which kind of struck me as odd because obviously the classic forehand players that we think about, obviously Chingotto is definitely up there number one. I think we've both said that currently. It kind of takes away the left-handed players, for example, because they're not a classic forehand player. And I think also you wouldn't classify other, more modern type forehand players such as Lebron, Livac, Yanguas as classic forehand players. So in a way, I felt that comment was quite interesting because he was kind of saying what we've already said, like, sure, Chingotto is the best classic forehand player, but he's not really answering the question, is he actually the best player you can partner with? So maybe Hugo, do you want to just do a deep dive a bit into that comment and your opinion on that?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, one thing I did want to let our viewers know is there's a reason why we'll be uploading this video a little bit later than usual. I know we normally try to do it on Sundays, Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays due to tournaments. It's because we have something very special lined up, which obviously we'll be able to share as early as next week, hopefully. So yeah, fingers crossed, but it'll be a good one. And I won't say anything else regarding that. But yeah, I mean, regarding Galan's interview, I mean, he just dropped bombs constantly. And I'm quite surprised that he was so aggressive regarding the whole Lebron situation, given how much time has passed. But maybe we can move on to that later. I mean, yeah, his comment around Chingotto being the best traditional forehand player is okay. Yes, I agree, but that's obvious. I mean, as you said, if you're not taking Lebron as a classic forehand player, then you can't take Yanguas, you can't take Coello because he's a lefty, and you can't take Cardona. So realistically, all the best forehand players in terms of current ranking are out. So you're only left with Chingotto. And obviously, Dineno is ranked way further down than Chingotto now, given how many points Chingotto has. So I feel like he's kind of tried to play the nice guy card and say, I've got the best possible partner next to me. But in reality, as you said, when you read between the lines, it's like, yeah, I have the best traditional forehand player. So,
because it's maybe just let me jump quickly in, because if you really believe Chingotto is the best forehand, isn't it just really easy to say Chingotto is the best forehand? Why do you just have to add that extra? No, he's the best classic, like traditional forehand. I don't know. It's just odd. Maybe
no,
we're reading too much into it, but it just feels odd.
no. I totally agree. And I think a lot of people have agreed. I read a few comments on social media, posts, etc., saying exactly this. And I mean, to be honest, I think I agree that you may not qualify left-handed players as traditional forehand players. I'll buy that. Fair enough. But honestly, I think you have to compare Chingotto with any right-handed forehand player, because whether it's traditional or not, it's a right-handed forehand player who should technically be able to, or have to try to, play the same shots because it's the same angles. So, you know, the volcada, the type of bandeja, a good víbora, which is obviously what a lot of forehand players must have. So is he actually the best right-handed forehand player? I don't think so. I mean, honestly, I think Lebron right now is a level above him. I think he's been the leader of his partnership with Stupa this season. And in terms of momentum, I'd say Lebron is above him, obviously based on history as well. But I'm saying current form, i.e. this year, I'd probably put Lebron above him. And I mean, Yanguas, maybe not current form. I mean, I know he's had a good start to the season. He didn't have a great last tournament, as obviously him and Koki lost to Paquito and Berga in the quarterfinals, which was a bit of a surprise. But he's made the semifinals in every tournament. And I mean, looking at the end of last season, Yanguas was insane. I mean, challenging to be the best right-handed forehand player on tour. So I even have my doubts and concerns regarding whether he's the best right-handed forehand player. So yeah, I mean, obviously we can go on and on about this, but I just feel like he escaped the actual question. Yes, personally, and this may sound a bit punchy or aggressive, I just think that he tried to look good and kind of back Chingotto. And I mean, even throughout the rest of the interview, he said, because maybe we can move on to the next topic, unless, Gons, you have anything else to add regarding this?
No. I mean, the only other thing that I wanted to add was, I agree with you that he maybe wants to look good, but I do believe when he said that, he wants to try it and kind of he's focusing on, and he thinks that the partnership can improve. I definitely believe him. And I kind of just want to say as well, I mean, there's obviously with this whole like clash, I think I've been seeing that a lot of people, like for example, Nerone have come out to defend Chingotto and kind of say, is he being disrespected and stuff. And I clearly want to say that I think from both of our sides, we both think Chingotto's an incredible player. I mean, we both said that he's easily the best, traditional forehand player. And that also, if Tapia and Coello weren't together, or two out of the three players weren't together, we both think, and we literally said it last episode, that he can challenge for the number one with someone good alongside him. So, I mean, I think we clearly highlight that he is obviously an exceptional player, and just wanted to lay that clear. I don't want to like throw any disrespect to him. It's just more discussing around with the current situation that you have two out of the three best players playing together. So it's obviously a very tough and very competitive tour. So maybe Galan needs kind of like that more offensive support to really challenge for the number one. But if it wasn't the case, that you do have Coello and Tapia together, or Galan and Coello together, then Chingotto can easily challenge for the number one.
No, definitely. And I mean, as you say, this is just our opinion. I mean, we're entitled to our opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion as long as it's not disrespectful. I don't think we've been disrespectful towards Chingotto. And I don't think we have to consider him the best forehand player after Coello if we think that potentially Lebron or Yanguas are, in our eyes, a bit better. I mean, fair enough. Like, it's just our opinion. And as you say, I mean, Chingotto, I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite players, but he's one of the players that I admire the most because of what he's done with kind of he's so much shorter than other players. So he has a lot of limitations from a physical standpoint. And he's turned himself into, well, the second best player in the world, which honestly, I didn't think he was going to reach. So massive credit to him. It just, we're thinking about our own view regarding how anyone can challenge Coello and Tapia, which right now seems like a massive reach. And we're just saying that potentially Galan could look at other options that could add variances. Obviously, say, for example, from a defensive point of view, Chingotto is the best forehand player in the world, full stop. No one's better
But
than him.
maybe that's what they don't necessarily need so much of that, if you see what I mean.
Exactly.
Coello and Tapia.
No, I totally agree. So,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully that's made our point clear. But actually, you just touched on what was going to be my next point, because throughout the interview, Galan said that, which I didn't like either. I understand where he's coming from, but he said that Tapia and Coello have more weapons than him and Chingotto. And he said that if Tapia and Coello weren't playing together, it would be a different story.
It's funny because we literally said that.
Yeah.
In our last episode, we were like, if Tapia and Coello weren't together, Chingotto and Galan, obviously, or if they could challenge for the number one easily.
No, exactly. I mean, hey, firstly, great to hear him saying literally what we were saying, but I just think it's disrespectful, putting it bluntly, towards his partner, because he's saying that Chingotto's the best traditional forehand player he can have, that he thinks they can improve massively. He's super happy with their partnership. They've made pretty much every single final since they've played together, etc., etc. But then he goes on and says, Coello and Tapia have more weapons. I mean, yes, you can argue that's true because they have more from an offensive point of view. But hey, wouldn't you say that Chingotto could potentially have more weapons, say, from a defensive point of view than Coello? Yes. So I think it's a bit of a blurry kind of line and a blurry opinion. But hey, I could potentially understand that. Now, what you can't go on and say is if Coello and Tapia weren't playing together, it would be a bit different story. I mean, what are you trying to get at saying that? I mean, imagine someone back in the day would have said, if Lebron and Galan weren't playing together, it'd be a different story. I mean, I was actually talking about this with you offline, and I remember when Dinero and Paquito were very, very close to making the number one spot in their race against Lebron Galan a few years ago. And Paquito, we were saying that he was in the top 3 players in the world. He actually might have won best player of the season that year, if I'm not mistaken. But we were saying that, potentially Chingotto was kind of not letting the pair down, but he was potentially not at the level that Lebron was, and that was what was making the difference. I mean, we can say it, but I just feel that it's so harsh if you're saying that publicly about your partner, i.e. Galan saying this about Chingotto now, when he's saying that he wants to bet on their partnership and he wants to stick together and he thinks they can improve so much. So yeah, Gons, I mean, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think the comments kind of like just highlighted that it feels like he's obviously trying to back Chingotto, which obviously I think is completely fair, and it's kind of the thing that you need to do. But at the same time, he's kind of trying to also play the card that we're really just not that better than them. Like, they're just better than us, and it's kind of the situation that we're stuck in. So yeah, I mean, I do believe that, like I said, I mean, I think that he probably thinks that, I do believe him when he says, we can definitely improve, and we can play better, and we can reach a higher level, and maybe that higher level is enough to at least challenge Coello and Tapia. Personally, I don't believe so, and we'll see. But I mean, what it does feel like is that they'll definitely give it a try a bit longer, and then we'll see if maybe, but if things don't change, maybe by the summer there's like a different, then Galan decides to take kind of ways with Chingotto, which in a way I feel like this interview, he's kind of played it both sides in terms of he's backed Chingotto. He said, we're going to try it. And at the same time, he's kind of, I think, hinted enough where he's like, they're better than us. And, if they would split, then it would be a different story. But that basically implies that because they haven't split, then they're just clearly better. So in a way, maybe summer comes by, nothing's changed. He can be like, look, I tried my best. I said I was going to try it. I've tried it. It clearly hasn't worked and they are better than us. So I need to find other solutions. So, I mean, I think it's kind of fair in a way. It's kind of what you have to do. But yeah, also just thinking about, if Tapia and Coello weren't together, I mean, in a way, is what happened throughout the history of paddle, right? You've always had a very dominant pair at the top ever since, Vela Juan Martin, Vela Lima, obviously Lebron and Galan. So there's always been, except that year maybe with Maxi, Sanjo, Paquito, Lebron, you've always had that like one pair kind of dominating, and it's just I guess the way it is. And I'm sure that in the future we'll have a pair. I'm very likely, I think at some point we'll have a Galan Coello, and they might even be the new Tapia and Coello, So it's just, I guess, how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a punchy interview, as you said. I mean, Isaias went like completely at it, and he asked like all the tough questions. And the comments around Lebron as well, all the comments around Lebron just very clearly stating that there's absolutely no relationship there. I thought that was quite bold.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, maybe just one final point about Galan's comments about Chingotto and Coello and Tapia, etc. I think for me, it just all boils down to the fact that he has literally said that if Coello and Tapia didn't play together, it would be a different story. And he also said something regarding the fact that it's not that Chingalan aren't playing well, it's that Coello and Tapia's level has been so high. I mean, for me, that's just saying I'm accepting that they're better than us. And so if you're accepting that they're better than you, then wouldn't you try something new, something different? But hey, I think we've mashed that topic up, and hopefully our viewers can share their thoughts. But yeah, regarding Lebron's, well, when Galan alluded to Lebron and all those comments about the fact that for him, there's no relationship because respect goes above. I just didn't expect him to be so salty now. And also after the fact that they played together in the World Cup final. I mean, they seem to have good vibes. They're having a laugh on the bench, etc. So I don't know. I mean, I understand that he's still pissed off. I understand that Lebron's comments were definitely over the line back in the day. The fact that he said Lebron was right and then his next sentence was, I should have left him before, was just like, wow, that's going to make every single headline in the paddle world. I mean, I understand what he's saying and I don't disagree, but I just feel like he probably, there's a side to this story. Gonzi and I have spoken about this a lot. I mean, Lebron only really said that what he didn't like was the way in which he was left by Galan. So I feel like there's probably a bit of truth in that. Now, Galan's also come out a lot of times, and even throughout this interview, regarding the fact that right now he's enjoying paddle so much, and not long ago he wasn't enjoying the whole training side of the game and the competition side. So again, alluding to his kind of period with Lebron, and I personally think it's a little bit too harsh on Lebron. I mean, Galan is Galan in a way, thanks to Lebron, thanks to their partnership and to everything that they achieved together. So I feel like it's a bit harsh, but hey, I mean, we're not on the inside. We don't know what's been said between them. So it's hard to really have a kind of super concrete opinion, but these are probably my overall thoughts.
No, I would agree. I mean, it does seem like they need like a deep conversation, and at some point, hopefully, they do have that conversation. Because they're both in their primes, and it's a shame that they haven't given it a stab against Coello and Tapia really healthy and together and motivated. But yeah, I agree. It feels like Galan's still a bit sour with all the kind of situation with Lebron. Like you said, we don't really know what's going on there. So maybe there were kind of big things that kind of we haven't seen that definitely bothered Galan. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, for sure, for the next matchups, what I think for certain will encounter is, again, very cold handshakes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that last interaction, can't remember, it was one of the finals, right, where Galan and Chingotto really spanked Lebron in the first set, and then it was a tiebreak in the second set. But yeah, I mean, when they were warming up and kind of Galan just ignores Lebron, and Lebron says, "Have I done anything bad to you?" I mean, yeah, it feels a bit childish, but hey, I mean, I could probably see myself, given how competitive I am, and maybe you guys, you're the same. If you end a relationship with your partner in a bad way, that could go on. I mean, it's sport, and I'm sure when they finish their careers, or maybe even in a year or two, they'll see this in a different way. But I think now it's just probably a little bit too soon and a little bit too raw.
And hopefully they do, because they have dominated paddle, and in a way they've maybe even changed paddle to what we are seeing nowadays. So I mean, it's a shame, right, that you've got for such a successful period of your life and you kind of feel bad about it in a way. But yeah, maybe just the very last topic really quick. So A1 Padel, which is kind of the other tour alongside Premier Padel. I mean, not where the top world's best players play, but for example, we had Tolito and Gonta play there before last year. So unfortunately, it seems like the company has gone bankrupt, and they are no longer operating. But there are rumors that there are Saudis which are interested in kind of buying what's left of A1 Paddle and kind of helping them come back. I think it's kind of very interesting because obviously if the Saudis do join and they kind of buy A1 Paddle, they obviously bring a lot of capital behind them. We would potentially have a competing tour with Premier Padel. I mean, if they make the tour more appealing, and obviously we know that Premier Padel this season is a bit in a kind of tumultuous situation. So, I mean, it's very interesting. And just for our listeners out there, just please watch out, because I think this could have potential massive impact into professional paddle as a whole if we do have a kind of new Saudi-backed tour entering the landscape.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's never good to see an organization and anything related to the paddle world have to shut down due to economic reasons and financial troubles, because the sport's at a stage where it really needs to just grow and see investment, because obviously that's just a snowball effect. So if these rumors are true regarding the Saudis, I think it's probably a good thing, because we've heard a lot of players complain about certain things regarding Premier Padel. They're probably doing a lot of good things and probably a few things that they can improve. So if a new tour comes in with a lot of investment, because that would be the case with A1, and if the Saudis are the ones that obviously invest in it, I mean, we've seen how much Saudis have invested in other sports, football in particular. I think it would be a good thing, just to hope it doesn't create another conflictive situation like the one we saw when World Padel Tour was the main tour, and then Premier Padel came in and they started organizing some tournaments, and then the players got in trouble for playing those tournaments because they had a contract with with the World Padel Tour. That's not what we want to see ever again. And I'm worried, or slightly worried, because if I'm not mistaken, I've read some reports saying that players signed their most recent contract with Premier Padel, and the contract involved like some sort of commitment across many, many, many years. I can't remember what it was, like 15, 20 years, something stupid like that. And if it's
almost a career.
That's the thing. And so I just really hope it's not the case, because if you're tied down legally, then who knows what that can mean for the players and therefore for the sport. I mean, the sport without the players is nothing. So,
No, of course.
yeah, I mean, sorry to hear about A1 Paddle, but hopefully it gets resolved.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we do see a lot of the players, at least for now, until kind of that situation gets resolved. We get to see new players as well, which is obviously always a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I think that probably brings us to the end of the episode. I do hope that everyone's enjoyed this one. It was a quick, short, snappy. There's obviously not a lot of going on at the moment, but we thought and best from the paddle world. But yeah, I do hope that everyone's enjoyed. And Hugh, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure, mate. Cheers, guys. Have a great week.